Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It is Tuesday. That means we'll have Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show momentarily. We'll have Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, get his thoughts on Gator football, recruiting, whatever else you want to ask him. Missed it last night. Buffalo Bills defeat the Jets to take sole possession of first place in the AFC East. You got some college football games tonight. And Yankees and Mets both win yesterday. And Yankees-Guardians game 2 is tonight. Let's go to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We are joined by the one and the only, the host of the Buddy Martin Show, Buddy Martin himself. Good morning, buddy. How you doing?
Morning, Shane. Doing okay. And yeah, we could have a Subway Series up there. We'll be following that a little more later on. No, you're not a huge baseball fan. So much going on. NBA started now. I'm not a huge NBA fan this time of year, but college football, wall to wall, is drawing rave reviews. We had last night on the program John Adams from the Knoxville News Sentinel talking about the Florida-Tennessee game. And among the things we discussed was say what you want to about college football with all the pitfalls and things that got wrong with it. But boy, the product they're delivering on the screen has been sensational. I tried to watch the other league for about 10 minutes. I couldn't bear it. Of course, we know Ohio State got beat, but college football is really spectacular. A lot of things that go with it that aren't. But, hey, it's still the greatest game of all. And by the way, the Florida Gators still got some life, but they got it too late, I'm afraid. And kudos to all those players who played so hard, especially on defense. Things that were good negated by some of the things that were bad. We'll discuss that later.
Yeah, for sure. I want to give a shout out to the Deland Quarterback Club. Enjoyed my visit there last night. Some good folks down there for sure. All right, buddy. So basically, the Gators lost the game. They probably should have won, however you want to look at it. Where do you think they go from here?
I'm trying to figure that out. It looks like I called the death march of Bataan for them in these next coming weeks. Now, things have changed. Vanderbilt will be a bigger challenge than Florida State, apparently. Can they squeak out 3 more wins? I don't see it on the schedule. And that's why it's so painful to have one in the palm of your hands right there. A game that could easily have been won in the first half. We won't go with all those things that went wrong. I think we could. It's difficult to second guess things that went wrong. A play calling when you run something like you did on the jet sweep and the call and who got what and what was the audible and so on and so forth. But certainly opportunity after opportunity. Probably the most exasperating one was the penalty and the runoff that Florida had. And, there was an excuse for it, I guess. I'm sorry. I don't care that the guy wasn't supposed to be on the field. It's somebody's job to see that that's done right. And you keep making those same mistakes over and over again, which is so painful to see. The sad part about it negates the good things that have happened and all the things the defense have done. By the way, just place in our hearts for Graham Mertz forever. What a great job he's done for the last 2 years in the face of people criticizing him. One thing about Billy, I will say he made that choice correctly. And you said it the whole season, last year and this year. Graham Mertz is a very good quarterback and may get to play in the National Football League. So don't get the results you want, unfortunately, and it's going to cost you. And I don't know how the pressure is going to come on Billy and on Scott Strickland to see what's going to take place. It can't be good.
Facebook Live brought to you by Metal Law. Brian says, Shane, do you ever watch the Peyton and Eli broadcast on Monday Night Football? Do you like that broadcast? Do you like the traditional? I didn't get to. I saw a little bit of it at the end. I was traveling last night. but yeah, I watch Peyton and Eli. I think they're outstanding.
You know, I haven't been listening to Shane. He's been raving about them
Yeah, I've
last 2
been talking
years.
about them ever since they started their
Yeah.
program. It's you can learn football if you want to learn football from those guys, and they're funny as hell. And I just prefer that telecast. I mean, I know those guys a little bit, so I enjoy it. Um, let's see. Let's get to some of these YouTube questions here. Um, Barone says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. QB, my issue with the option end around with Lagway and Wilson is just plow the ball for less than a foot with Lagway, no trickery. I get it. If DJ pulls it and runs the power play, maybe we get it. I look, we're not the only one that has questionable. I mean, there are people in Columbus, Ohio, raising hell with Chip Kelly and Ryan Day for play calling. Uh, that's what makes sports so great, is because we have shows like this where people can vent and become Monday morning quarterbacks, right? Uh, I know how hard it is to call plays. I've done it. I can't tell you, even in wins, how many times you stay up late at night saying, I should have done this or I should have done that. Um, the thing with Billy is, I like to use the word, he's been snake bitten, so to speak. It seems like every crucial call has gone
That's true.
bad.
That is true.
It's gone bad. And, I know like last year, or maybe it was the previous year, we run double reverses or we run double passes. They didn't work. But what I like to say is, I didn't have a problem with the call, but the execution was not good. And maybe it was bad timing, whatever. So, um, people have no problem with play calling when things work. They only have I have problems like the play calling is one deal, buddy, and then the continuously having too many men on the field is something totally different, in my opinion. Those are two separated deals. But regardless, Gators should have won. There's nothing you can do about it now. You got to move forward and try to beat Kentucky. I'm with you. It's terrible that Graham Mertz is done with his college football career. I do think if he rehabs, which he will in modern technology, he'll come back from the ACL. He probably won't be drafted now, but he's got a very good chance of making rosters as a free agent like I did. And I think he can be in the NFL for a long time as a backup. I really do.
But Shane, the larger picture, which we can't get around, it is the elephant in the room. And everybody's talking about it, and we don't know the answers. It's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be crazy and stressful for Billy the next month and a half, because his job is on the line and everybody's going to speculate it. And we all got our reasons why. I don't want Billy to lose his job. I wish he could stay there, but I just don't see how he can keep his job when you look at the total picture and you think, why is it like this? Well, there's some other things about Billy's way he operates that I think tick off a lot of people. And you wonder when times get tough, could it have been different? Can he get the support he needs? Because that's all that's going to save him. Right now, his football record's not going to save him. And if you look at him and say, well, he appears to answer to nobody, and he never wants to give anybody any blame for anything. I mean, Coach Spurrier always said, we coached lousy, we played lousy, all that stuff. He seems like he's a Teflon man in his press conferences. He doesn't answer the questions. He seems to curry favor with big money boosters, but really ignore a lot of other people in the programs. For a long time, former players, as you know, a lot of them are still angry at him. He seems to think that he operates on his own agenda and schedule, and he pisses off a lot of people. You can get by with that if you're Steve Spurrier, maybe, or Urban Meyer, but not Billy. So he took a long time to improve his defense. Granted, they played great. Where's that been for 3 years? And remember how slow he was in the uptake on the portal? He didn't respond to it quick. And here's the thing, and you know about this. The play calling, it's not just the play calling. Because everybody has bad calls. But you talk about the sequencing of the play call. Shane, you play for one of the best at this kind of thing. He sets up future things by what he calls. There doesn't seem to be any plan to his sequencing of his play calling. That's what I have a problem with.
Yeah, well, I hear what you're saying, but I thought it was his best play calling plan he's had in all his years he's been here. Um,
But it
just
wasn't enough.
because, right? No, I
Yeah.
mean, look, we didn't win the game. That's the bottom line. But I thought the design, the schemes, and everything were outstanding in this game. Personally, um, everybody else will disagree with me, but watch the route concepts. They were as good as we've ever had here.
Well, we
Um,
defer to you, Shane. You're the expert.
yeah,
If you say
but
that, I
people don't want to
believe
hear
you. All
that,
right.
which is fine because I'm with you. You have to win the game. Like I said, the only thing that I have a problem with, and I'm second guessing too, is the power read play. Uh, maybe if Trey puts his foot in the ground and gets going vertical and trying to outrun people, maybe he gets first down. Maybe we should have run a quarterback sneak. But like I said, I've called plays. I've been on teams where you call something that doesn't work and everybody's pissed off on the sideline because you thought it was going to work. So I I get it, people. I get it. But the biggest issue to me out of that game was the issue at the end of the first half. Not so much that we had 12 men on the field, just the whole situation. 17 seconds. Somebody's got to, and somebody may have told Graham he can't take a sack there. But anyway,
Well, I
that's
mean,
over
but
with and
you
done.
tell me, wasn't it about the offensive lineman who was injured and
Yeah,
thought it
so
was off the field?
supposedly somebody was hurt, got banged up on that play, not something severe. He didn't go down, which is a good thing because if he goes down, they're going to run 10 seconds off. The half would have been over. Uh, I don't think supposedly he couldn't get to the sideline in time, so he goes and lines up at his position, and we got guys running on the field. That's supposedly why we had too many on the field. But
Somebody could
regardless,
count and see who's on. You could be able to count
well,
and see that they're out
well,
there.
you can't because, buddy, 17 seconds is the cutoff. That is the least amount of time to even have an
Yeah.
opportunity to do that. My point to it is you cannot allow the clock to be running in that situation. The ball either has to be completed for a
Should have
first down,
stopped
go
the clock.
spike it, or the ball has to be thrown out of bounds. You cannot
I
take a
agree.
sack because
I
if the guy gets hurt
hmm
and the clock is stopped, we're fine. He can
Yeah.
get off the field. So it was just a shit show. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. Um, Rob says the problem is Shane. There's no margin for error with his play calling. Everything has to be perfect. We'd rather have wide open guys. Uh, we had some wide open guys the other night, Rob. I'm not going to sit here and argue with y'all that say I'm not saying he's a great play caller. I'm saying it's not as bad as people think because all people want to do is point out when things don't work. How about the touchdown to tie up the game? DJ made a great throw. The design of the play was phenomenal. The route by DK was phenomenal. The touchdown to Boardingham, great design. It was verticals with the wheel route. So, but we completed it, and for a touchdown, nobody wants to say anything about it. That's my point. Look, I get it. I totally get it. My question is, who do you want to call plays? Nobody can give me that answer, buddy.
don't know who. I
I
don't know
asked the
who.
I asked the
Supposedly
Deland
Callaway.
Quarterback Club
What?
this last night. I said, just if you just give somebody a title of OC, what makes you think he's never going to make a bad call? It happens every game at every level. So anyway,
Shane, here's the question. You know this. You've seen this show for 3 years. What would you do differently if you were the head coach of Florida? What would you do? What would
I
be your
would I would have people on the sideline in my
yeah,
staff that kind of
yeah,
knew what football was all about
yeah,
because when these 12 men and stuff like that continually happen,
yeah,
that's on the assistant coaches. That's their responsibility.
yeah.
That's on the responsibility to people sitting in the press box with binoculars, and they should have a role, which they do, but obviously they don't know what
They
they're
don't
doing.
talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, that's the bottom line. Does it fall on the shoulders of the head coach? Absolutely does.
Yeah.
But it's because they're not doing their job of paying attention in the freaking game.
Right. And
So
then it
that's
becomes
what
benign neglect when you do it multiple times. You keep making the same mistakes. And for something like that to cost you a game is so critical. That could have been, I wouldn't say it saved Billy's job, but if they'd have won that game, it's a whole different picture in the second half of the season.
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we move on to Kentucky. It's what I really want to talk about today is it's going to be interesting. They're having the 84 40-year reunion
Yeah,
coming back, the 84
yeah.
team. A lot of these dudes have not been back in 40 years.
Right.
Okay. They are not happy Gators. I don't know if this is going to change their mind or not, but I think it's pretty cool that they're going to be back.
I agree. And by the way, the 84 team, remember, they won a national championship, quote unquote, the New York Times at the end of the year. And they also had studs everywhere. They were terrific runners, offensive line, defense. Charlie Pell's team, he didn't get to coach it all the way. He got fired. But nonetheless, and Galen Hall took over. But I think it's the long due. I think it's some great players. And I hate to see players suffer for the mistakes or that were made by other people. And there's a lot of good players and good people on that team that deserve this recognition. And I am really happy for them.
Coy says, Shane, you agree with a sweep on 4th and 1? We were the better team on Saturday and lost. I didn't say I agreed with it, Coy. I'm just not going to be one of these jackasses that disagrees with everything when things don't go bad because I've called plays. And, it's not easy. But if Trey Wilson makes it or scores a touchdown, it's a great play, right?
It is, Shane, but you get it. This is the thing. This is
no, I get it, buddy. But I'm not a person because I played the game for a long time.
Yeah.
I coached it. I was a backup for a long time, which basically is like an assistant coach. I've seen it. I've seen great play callers make questionable calls that don't work. I've seen great play callers that make great play calls. So I totally understand what people are talking about, but it is so freaking easy. Like we just talked about, somebody on here said he outcoached Josh Heupel and still lost the game. I agree 1,000% with that. But Josh Heupel made the stupidest decision I've ever seen in all of football. I've been alive 54 years, started playing at 5. Buddy, people forget this, okay? And I wish you would ask John Adams this. What did John Adams think about Josh Heupel going for it in a tie ball game late in the third quarter on your own 10-yard line? That's stupidity. Stupidity. But he made it. Nobody's talking about it, right? Just like if we would have made that if we would have made that, nobody would be saying a damn word.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look,
that's my point.
I wish I'd have thought to ask John that when he was on. He was really good. He didn't think Tennessee's a very good team, and he agreed with you on the quarterback situation. How this guy's not the guy we thought he was, and he thought Florida let a game get away they should have won. And then John's been around football for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, we dominated Tennessee.
Yeah,
Tennessee's got problems because of their quarterback. All right, so let's see. There was something on here. James says, "Have you given up on Lane Kiffin?" The more the time goes by, I don't think that would happen. Even though Lane wants the job, I do know that for a fact.
Yeah, I quoted you the other night saying that.
I know that for a fact.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't even know if I don't even know if there will be a coaching change.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you think Scott Strickland can endure that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how all the inner workings of the UA work and who makes the decisions and all that stuff. But like I said, there's not a damn thing we can do about it.
Yeah, but it's explosive. It's very explosive. Our friend Freddie Weeby last night posted something about how we need to let it go, and that we should be raising money for NIL and all this stuff. But I love you, Freddie, but this is part of the game. You cannot get around the fact that coaches are going to be second guessed. And I think when you look at it, did you get it done or not? When we talked about last night, myself and friends and John Adams about what great products we're seeing on TV. That triple header for the SEC was fantastic. The final result is you're getting the quality of the games that you wanted. And now the problem is that you're not going to be able to hold together a fan base that knows what they're seeing and doesn't like it. And you can't say, well, it's all right, it'll get better. Look, you can't. Billy Napier gives the impression sometimes, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, that he answers to nobody, that he only answers to himself, and that he doesn't explain his decisions in the press conference. He is obfuscating, which means you're not giving the clear meaning, and he doesn't want anybody to be blamed for anything. I've heard that criticism a lot. And I don't think it's the kind of thing the Florida fans are going to accept. Begging pardon of my good friend Freddie, if this keeps up. You can't. Because if you do accept it, you think, well, what difference does it make? Don't have to win. See, Billy proved it. I really don't want Billy to get fired. I wish there was a way that he wouldn't get fired, but I don't see it happening any other way. What I've seen so far and the result we're getting out of the games, I can't see him surviving.
Yeah. Champion your recovery with Core Power, delicious high quality protein to build muscles and electrolytes to help hydrate. Core Power, replenish, repair, rebuild. We got Buddy here. Gosh, where's that? There was one here I wanted to read real quick if I can find it. Oh, it was a text on the Titan MR text line. Okay. I don't know who sent this, but obviously they don't listen to my show often. They said, Shane, every play a coach calls is designed to score. If everybody does their job, it will be successful. That's not true. You don't call every play to score. I mean,
Quarterback sneaks are not there to show on the 1 yard line.
well, I'm just saying you don't. I mean, when you
Right.
call inside zone or zone read, you're not expecting it to score a
Right.
touchdown. Could it score a touchdown? Yeah, it could. But not every play is you have a section in your playbook or in your call sheet that are shot plays. Those are designed to score when you call it. You know, when you throw a 12-yard curl route, you don't expect it to score. It could, but it doesn't. So that's not true. Let's see. This is from the 941 on the Titan MR text line. If the New York Times say we won a natty, why don't we claim it like Alabama claims all their early national championships? That all has to come from the UAA. They're the ones that don't want to claim it.
They took it away too.
Yeah.
So.
It's Alabama does not care. They go back into their history, and whether they claim it themselves, they're going to post it on all their walls and stadium and stuff. We should post the 84 national title, at least 84 SEC title. We should post the 90 SEC title, but it's not going to happen. So anyway, there's another one here. Mark says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, the administration obviously doesn't care about winning football games. They make the same amount of money, win or lose. The old administration used to care about winning football. Those days are gone. The old administration is the current administration. Right, buddy?
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
And they do care about winning. And they care about raising money. That's what they care about.
This is from Tommy in Gainesville. He says, snake bit is the perfect phrase for Billy. Agree. Well, I mean, I just said it. So Robert in Fort Myers says, do you think Lane's recent struggles are a result of being distracted from having one eye on Gainesville? No.
I think as a result of not running the football. You can't run the ball.
Well, they've run it pretty successful. Here's what's happened.
Here's
what's happened in his two losses, because I've watched them both.
Yeah, but
they've dominated the football game, but they found ways not to win.
Okay. I didn't think they ran the ball well at all 2 weeks ago. So anyway, that's just me.
This is from Darius says, good morning. I think we can beat Kentucky. Brock Vandergriff is not good at all. No, he's not. We're going to see our third straight, not very good quarterback, which helps make them throw the football for sure. This is from the 252, says Graham was a great leader, teammate, competitor, smart, efficient, and accurate QB. Thank you, Graham. One of the few positives under Billy.
Yeah, we have to give Billy credit for that. We really do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Silverback concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. Buddy, we got a text here on the Titan MR text line. This is from Rob. It's probably not, I don't know if it's the same Rob we just talked about. He wants to know, buddy, and we've already discussed this, but we'll let you chime in again. Do you think Billy will be gone at the end of the season?
Well, it's impossible to predict, you said earlier, because if Strickland can get through the pressure of it, and he can make a case, what good does it do firing another coach? And I get that. And that might be his out. I know there's some people who think maybe Billy should stay more than an advisory capacity. That would be kind of, I guess, an assistant athletic director, let him do everything else but call plays and coaches and hire other people. Right now, I just don't know. I don't see it happening, but I guess if they win some games, it's possible. I don't see how it's possible to win 3 more games in the schedule. The hardest schedule in the history of college football. He's got to win 3 games in 6 weeks. I
I
can't.
don't. But now that I mean, now that I think about it, do we think it's the hardest schedule in
Well, I
college
know you were
football?
going to say FSU, but now
Well,
Vanderbilt.
Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee's a top 15 team, quite
Well, I know
honestly.
that lost that game already. I'm talking about what's ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
You're right. There are some different. I mean, I don't know how good Ole Miss is going to be at the end of the season. Nobody does. In fact, we talked about it last night. There's still the residual impact of playing in the SEC. It's going to come to bear because these guys who play in this league are going to get beat up, and the guys who can still stand up and who the teams that have the depth will be there at the end. If you don't have it, you're not going to be there. That's like fighting the bum of the month in boxing versus fighting a top ranked player, boxers, and it beats you up. So I think that's the untold story yet as to what's going to happen is how this physicality in this league is going to play into the final weeks. Will it be Georgia, Texas? Well, Georgia and Texas play each other this week. I don't know. Alabama obviously is a different team. It's really fascinating in a way to see who is going to rise above this because are some changes in the league for sure, as we've seen in Vanderbilt.
This text says, wouldn't it be ironic if we knocked out Lane from the beating them and then hire him after we play
Yeah,
FSU this year?
yeah.
Um, I don't think even if Ole Miss runs the table, I think they're out of it. I think they're already out of it with 2 losses. But who knows? Um, I don't think we're going to hire him either.
Well, I share your thoughts, but I'm thinking who then? When you start
That's
thinking about who, at this point, it's not clear. Maybe it will become more clear. But and I know if you talk about coaches that aren't coaching at a high level, Gator fans aren't going to tolerate that. Another Sun Belt coach.
yeah. I mean, I think if something were to happen, I don't know. I mean, I know why, but I don't care. I think they should go get Lane. I mean, look,
But
that's just my two
Shane,
cents. That's my feeling about the program.
you don't know the deal hasn't been made already. It has happened before in Florida history, where but deals made behind closed doors in advance of seasons.
Well, I hope you're right, buddy. I hope you're right. Buddy, who you got on your show tonight?
Uh, Tonight, Lauren Meadows is hosting. He'll have Rob Brown. He'll have David Whitley and the gang, and they always do a good show on Tuesday night. So be sure and check them out at 9 p.m. Eastern. The Buddy Martin Show continues tomorrow night with our usual cast of characters, including Allie, Pete Wilbur, who otherwise is underwater kind of there in Tampa. Wish you all the best, and of course the rest of the gang. So yeah, tonight, don't forget, tune in Rob Brown and David Whitley with Lauren Meadows.
This day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life. Campus USA Credit Union. Buddy, you probably covered this guy. 1979, the New York Knicks retired number 10, Walt Frazier's number.
Yep, I did.
You covered him?
He did. I did. Yes. Well, I was there at that time. Yeah, I saw him play. He was such a cool customer, Clyde as they called him. Great player, and the Knicks were really good when he played. Knicks have been through a long stretch. Well, they have. Yes, I remember Clyde Frazier very well.
Yeah.
Walt was his
Zach,
name. They called him Clyde.
Zach says, Shane, do you like fast-paced offense? Love the 50 points a game. Exciting and fun. Well, there ain't a whole lot of people doing that right now. And the team we just played plays fast-paced, and they didn't put 50 on the board. It's great if you're completing passes, making first downs, but if you don't, you really put your defense in a bind. Like I said, I mean, we're not the only people giving our coaches grief. They're raising hell in Tennessee right now, even though they won the game.
Yeah,
They booed. They were booing. They were booing so loud in that stadium compared to how we boo in our stadium.
I couldn't tell that from telecast.
Oh, they booed. They were booing so bad, buddy. It was.
Really?
I felt bad for the
Really?
Tennessee players how bad they were booing.
Right.
But
let me
anyway.
just give you this real fast. See if you, I'm not going to tell you who said it. You see if you agree with this. It's a simple solution, and the fans are in the way right now. This, number one, they got to raise NIL money. 2, recruit talent. Number 3, hire a good play caller. 4, keep everything else as is. Do you agree with that?
Say that one more time.
All right. Here are the things that this person says should be done. Everything will be fine. Can raise NIL money. 1, recruit good talent. 2, 3, hire a good play caller. 4, keep everything else as is.
Well, first of all, recruit good talent is obvious. I mean, everybody wants to do that. But to do that, you have to win games, and kids want to go play where they can play and be competitive and be in the hunt. NIL, I think people are only going to give money if you're winning and they like the direction of the program. So on paper, that sounds great. But in reality, something has to change for those things to happen.
But the cart before the horse, I agree with you on that. I think it's very key. So we'll see. I would dread the day that Lagway would leave. That would be the end of the program, in my opinion.
Well, no, that's not. I mean, come on now, buddy. There's a lot of good quarterbacks you can
No,
get.
I
mean,
know, but at this point in time, you got that invested, and
right. But you got to remember this. This is what I told people last night. I think DJ's got a bright future. But if there is a coaching change, okay, you got to think about it. Okay, DJ may leave, or the new coach may bring his own quarterback in. You got to remember
he
that.
brings his own quarterback over Lagway. He's an idiot.
Well, buddy, you don't know that.
I mean, do know that.
There's a lot of good players out there.
I know it. Just like I told you when I saw him the first time, Shane, he's going to be a great player.
Okay, I agree with that, but that doesn't mean player X can't be a great player either.
Yeah, but the odds are there aren't many guys out there going to be better than Lagway. There's aren't. You know how hard it is to find a quarterback, and I guarantee you, the new coach will be hired. That would be part of the deal, the conversation. Let's keep this guy. You can't afford to have your one potential superstar walking across the street going someplace else. You got to protect the franchise.
All right. Well,
my opinion.
Okay. I totally disagree with that because I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks. If you hire a great offensive mind who has a track record that has always had good quarterbacks, he's going to have a good quarterback.
Shane, who is that? That
the
person
coach
that exists out there. A great offensive line who's had great quarterbacks.
Offensive line. I said offensive mind. Okay, so you're going to sit here and tell me at 8:32 on a Tuesday. I'm just saying, is Lane a great offensive mind in your opinion? Yes or no?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Does he always have great quarterbacks? Yes or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't always have great quarterbacks. He has
his quarterbacks are very productive.
That's different. That's different. It's not the same.
No, they're good players. I think Jackson Dart's an outstanding college quarterback. Okay.
But I won't. You're going to take him.
I think Matt Corral. I think Matt Corral was an outstanding college quarterback.
No, that's not the same thing. I'm telling you, you just described a guy who doesn't exist.
But we're talking two different things. DJ may end up being a Heisman Trophy winner and winning every award there is. I'm just saying that the other coach may not want. I'm not saying may not want him, but it may not be a fit for him, and he may want to bring his own people. Is all I'm saying.
If he doesn't want DJ Lagway, I don't want him.
Okay. All right. Barone says Lagway hasn't proven anything yet, buddy. If a new head coach means no Lagway, you got to do it. It's about the long term, but it's not about Lagway. It's about Napier.
We'll see about that.
So, all right, buddy. Have a good day, my friend.
All right, Shane. Take care. Thanks for having me on.
That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Take No More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We'll come back. We'll talk with Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Gridiron sponsors, Comfort Temp, UF Bookstores, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogra State Farm, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, F45, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gator Bait Media, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, MG&A Wealth, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Nest and Wild, Florida Victorious, Electronics World.
If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover the ultimate Cuban culinary experience at Miapa Latin Cafe. With 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua, you're never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. We're going to go back to a guy who probably loves Miapa, Graham Hall from 24/7 Sports. How you doing, Graham?
Doing great. I do love me a good Cuban. Miapa's excellent. If you ever had their breakfast bowls, highly recommend.
Yeah.
Oh, they're fantastic.
I can't tell you how much money my son, when he was in college, spent at Miapa because he lived right there by the golf course, so he was always at Miapa. My credit card bill was not good. Graham, you were in Tennessee. Great atmosphere. It's one of my favorites. Gators outplayed them, but found a way to lose the football game. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, quite frustrating, obviously, just the missed opportunities. This is a team that can't afford to let opportunities like that fall to the wayside here. We've said time and time again, they have a small margin for error, especially playing on the road against a top 10 ranked team. Let me say, I don't think Tennessee really resembles a top 10 team here. At least Florida certainly made them look very beatable. They held them to below their average on the ground. I mean, that was a team that came in averaging more than 250 rushing yards per game. And I think they got some things going there with Dylan Sampson. And you and I were just talking about this, Nico Emaliava, it does not look nearly as polished as either one of Florida's 2 quarterbacks. Defensively, the Gators were able to drive at multiple points. And a fantastic performance from Florida's defense. It was a number of questionable decisions, some infractions, some miscues, substitution penalty, an interesting end around call on 4th and 1 with Eugene Wilson when Florida gets into the 18-yard line here and came away with only 3 points in that first half when they could have had a 20-0 lead. And you can't afford to do that whatsoever. I think that's probably the most frustrating thing. You know, if you told Florida fans that they would lose that game in overtime a couple of weeks ago, I think a lot of people would have taken that. But it was the way that the game went for those, 65 minutes. They absolutely had that game in the bag for a lot of the contest. And Billy Napier's decision to not go for 2 there with 30 seconds remaining, you know, people fell in love with Billy Napier because that whole scared money, don't make money quote, that I don't know how much he maybe regrets that in a sense, because I think you've seen here he's a little bit more conservative than people thought he would be when he got here. And I think that play kind of was a microcosm of a lot of their frustrations. You have Tennessee on the ropes with a 6'3", 240-pound quarterback, and you don't want to sneak it up the middle, or you don't have some ideal 2-point play to give you a chance. I think a lot of Florida fans would have taken losing by 1 there, you know, in regulation rather than going into overtime. But the defense was playing well. It was just a frustrating game that Florida once again let slip through their grasp.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, the whole scared money don't make money. You know, I got a shirt that says it. it's from one quote of some game at halftime or whatever at Louisiana, right? He's never once said that since he's become the coach here. And so it's bizarre to me. This text from Robert says, I have rewatched the game, but didn't we piss a timeout away before the half that we sure could have used instead of the debacle we saw? I wouldn't say we pissed it away. I remember vividly on that drive when we signaled the plays in, you had DK Badger and Trey Wilson all looking at each other like they're a chicken with their head cut off. They didn't know where to line up. So you have to call a timeout in that situation. Is it ideal? No, but you see that happen all the time. I've seen Andy Reid call timeouts on the first possession of a football game. So enough of that. Here's a text on the Titan MR text line from William. Graham, loves seeing and reading your work. In your opinion, will they make a move on Billy Napier when the season is over?
I think that's become increasingly likely. I do think it's more likely than not that you see a move made by the end of the season, kind of the Ron Zook path in a way, where you try and finish out with the guys on your team, keep the roster together as much as possible, and hope that you don't lose too many players in the transfer portal. And I also think it gives you a increased chance of having someone in place by the time the season is over here, rather than maybe waiting to see how things shake out. A couple of weeks ago, it looked like when we talked about Lane Kiffin that guy would be coaching until the end of January. I think that looks a little bit less likely right now. So maybe if he is the guy that they're going after, there's a better chance of at the end of the season making that move and having him in place before 2024 is up. But, with that said, I still think that, and maybe I'm in the minority here, I still think it is not a given whatsoever that Billy Napier doesn't get a fourth year in Gainesville. I'm not saying whether he should or shouldn't. I do think that if they can manage to get to 6-6, this may not be what people want to hear, given the daunting slate, the promising pieces. If the defense makes some strides, if DJ Lagway ends up being, as explosive as people think he is, and Florida's able to win some of these games, say they end the season on a 2-game winning streak, beat Ole Miss, FSU up in Tallahassee. They beat Kentucky this weekend. I think Georgia looks more beatable than they did. Not saying I think that they win that game, but I think it'll be closer than we thought at the beginning of the season. Say they get to 6-6, potentially 7-5 here. I think that there is a chance that Florida gives him a fourth year, and you maybe have some forced decisions of hiring an OC and seeing what you can get in year 4. I don't know if that's absolutely going to happen, but regardless, I think it looks much more likely that Florida does not make a midseason move, barring some absolute collapse. You lose to Kentucky, you get embarrassed by Georgia, then I think it becomes much more likely here. But if they continue being competitive and clean up some of these mistakes that they've made and stay in each one of these games, then I do think there's a chance here. But if I had to put money on it right now, I would say an end of the season move is the most likely one right now.
Yeah. And in your opinion, who's on your list?
That's the toughest question, honestly. I mean, I'll be absolutely honest. I don't think, and maybe this is kind of reactionary based on the past couple of weeks for Ole Miss. I mean, I think Lane Kiffin is closer to Dan Mullen than a lot of people want to think. I do think he recruits well, but are you getting someone who's extremely hungry, who's going to absolutely come in and elevate this program to contender status? I don't know. I don't know. If I knew, I'd probably be making more money than I'm making right now here. I'm going to go out on a limb a little bit here. From watching Jaden Daniels have success almost immediately in the NFL, I would kick the tires more on Cliff Kingsbury. I think that, that's a potential option. A guy who's had success at the collegiate level, understands how to work with young quarterbacks, runs an exciting offense. I think that he checks a lot of boxes in my mind. What's his interest level from making it to the NFL to come back to this chaotic landscape in college? I don't know that. But of the options out there, that's one that I think is a little bit more of a safer, stronger hire than some of the ones out there. Just to be quite frank, I don't think that there necessarily is a top on the rise newcomer that I really think is just a fantastic choice for Florida. Maybe that's a little bit frustrating because you would like to think that there's a name out there, but maybe a more proven guy, a guy who's had success in the NFL, is going to come in and keep building the program forward. Makes a lot more sense in my mind than some of the other options out there. You know, you remember 3 years ago, Billy Napier was the hot name out there, and it's kind of, I think, a little bit revisionist history to say that it was a bad hire because so many people were enamored with him. They thought that he was one of the next best coaches on the rise, in a sense here. Hadn't really been a successful offensive coordinator where he had been. So I think you need to have an offensive-minded coach who's had success in college already. Kingsbury is my top option if I had to make a hire today. I don't know if that's the route they go. And like I said, I don't know how interested he would be in coming back here. So maybe that's not the answer anyone wants. I would love to have a under the radar hire that I think is going to be the next Nick Saban. But like I said, if I knew that, maybe I'd be working for a search firm or an athletic position somewhere.
Yeah. Barone 71, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, can you ask Graham if Napier stays, what's the recruiting class going to look like? It's pretty dismal already for a head coach in year 3 who has a top QB to recruit around.
Yeah, I think that a couple of weeks ago, I said that the strength of this class was wide receiver. Florida loses a guy that you look at his film. I don't know how he's a 3-star, no disrespect to the evaluators out there, but Josh Moore is someone that I think is just going to absolutely exceed expectations. They lose him to Miami, maybe a little bit of an expected decision in a sense, even though he said he was locked in with Florida, 100% committed. I mean, how many times do you hear that? And it doesn't come to fruition here. That's the hometown school for him. He was being pushed there by people in his family. He had taken a lot of trips there. Losing him is certainly a blow to Florida's class. Now you still got Vernell Brown. You got Nashawn Montgomery. There are players that I think are promising in this class. But to be quite frank, if Florida is going to make a leap in 2025, regardless of who is the head coach, they have to go more in on the transfer portal than they did last year, which if that means, just signing 12, 13 guys in December, so be it. Leave 20 spots open to go get experienced players so you can come in and have a stronger impact than they had this year. Florida added 11, 13 transfers before January. They added a couple more in May here, but only one of those from May in Elijah Badger is really contributing this year. They have to go out and get nearly 20 guys in my mind that can come in and play immediately. And so I do think that maybe there are some concerns, valid concerns about Florida's recruiting class. And I think they're understandable. It's hard to recruit when you're a coach that everyone is speculating you're not going to be here for. And whether it's a week or 2 months, whatever it is, that's hard to get players to buy in, even in the NIL era. So I understand why Florida's class is where it is. They haven't stopped recruiting whatsoever, but the guys they're going after have interest from Alabama, Georgia, Miami. It's hard to recruit against those teams who are ahead of you from a competitive standpoint. So for Florida, they're going to have to go in on the transfer portal regardless of who is the coach next year. And I think I said the last time I was on here that when you go after a coach who's having success in college, whether it's Lane Kiffin, whoever it is, you have an advantage in the portal because they have a chance to bring a lot of players from their previous program with them. So I do think that the concerns about the recruiting class are valid, but depending on who is the coach and depending on what they plan to do in the transfer portal, I think that a lot of those concerns can be alleviated in a sense here, depending on how things shake out. But one thing is clear, this is not going to be a top 20 class in my mind. If you put money on that, you should try and get a refund real quick on that because that is just not something that I see happening. With the transfer class, I do think that Florida has a chance when everything shakes out, the dust is settled here in February, to sign a top 10 transfer class because they certainly have a ton of needs.
Florida Crackers, the brand for original Floridians. Great food, Southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida, FloridaCracker.com. A few more minutes with Graham Hall. Donna wants us to push Kerwin for head football coach. We've been doing that I've been doing that for 10, 15 years, Donna. Ain't going to happen. One of my best best coach, one of the best coaches I've ever been around. Just don't see it happening. So Graham, I guess my question, and I propose this when I go speak to these different quarterback clubs and touchdown clubs. They always talk about offensive coordinator. I'm like, who would you hire? Like, just because somebody has a title as offensive coordinator, and I'm not taking up for Billy Napier. I don't care what program this is. They're probably going to make some calls that people bitch and complain about as well. But I've had people texting today, we need to go get a quality offensive coordinator. I don't know who that is. And I feel like I know college football pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, are you going to be able to lure, Marion from UNLV and go run that, go offense? I mean, to be quite honest, I think they've already tried to do that. That's someone who I think is a head coach in waiting somewhere. Is he going to accept an offensive coordinator job elsewhere for a staff that he's not familiar with? I don't really see it right now. You look at the success the Rebels are having there. I don't see that. And outside of him, I don't know who out there you'd really want. I mean, I think that, to be quite honest, I think that most of this team's issues are along in the trenches, right? I mean, are you able to go out and get a guy like, Phil Troutwine to come over here and fix Florida's offensive line issues? If they had to shell out some money, I think that that's a move that makes a lot more sense than hiring an offensive coordinator and paying him $1.4 million and taking some of those responsibilities off of Billy Napier. I know that people have their concerns about the offense, and a lot of them are really valid, but I think that there are other issues at hand here. The inability to develop the offensive line throughout the first 3 years here in Gainesville, get quality offensive linemen through the transfer portal at a higher rate. That is something that this team needs to do. Offensive coordinator is not magically going to fix all of Florida's issues whatsoever. If anything, and I made this argument a couple years ago, what it does is I think takes a lot of the potential for blame off of a head coach, because if the offense is anemic there and it's the head coach who's just kind of the organizational guy who's handling the in-game management and building the foundation and running the program, if the offense struggles, they kind of have a scapegoat in a sense with an offensive coordinator. I think that is something as a head coach that I'd be looking for to do, that is to have someone to take all the blame and the criticism for the offense off of me. That's why I would want an offensive coordinator. That makes a lot more sense to me, because, give someone else that people can complain about and send vile messages to on social media. That's why I would want one. I don't think that otherwise it's a move that, right now I agree with you. There's not someone out there that you hire is magically going to fix Florida's offense.
Yeah. A couple things here and we'll get you out of here. Jeff says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, LSU and Ole Miss are beatable, especially at home, assuming the defense continues to improve and return some injured dudes. It'd be nice to have Montreal and Trey Webb back. I will tell you this: LSU and Ole Miss will be the best offenses we face all year. Them in Texas. I think Garrett Nussmeier is the best thrower in the league, and so I don't know if our defense has not faced anybody like those two teams personally. All right, and then this is a text here. It says, Shane, does Brian Johnson get any credit for Jaden Daniels in Washington since he's the pass game coordinator? Is it just a title? It's just a title. Cliff Kingsbury calls the plays and does it. But look, Brian's a good coach, but Jaden Daniels is a special elite player. I don't know how much coaching is. He's a great talent for sure. Graham, got any specials? And where should people go read about the Mighty Gators that Graham Hall's covering?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Swamp 247. We're going to be running a basketball special pretty soon. You can get 50% off an annual membership. That's going to be coming out here in the next couple of days. If you're a Florida fan frustrated by the state of Florida football, look no further than basketball coverage. We're going to have a ton of it coming up pretty soon here. Florida's going to be having some secret scrimmages. One this weekend coming up against FIU. Next week against College of Charleston. The Gators checked into the preseason AP poll, ranked at number 21. First time they've been ranked in the preseason poll since 2019. A lot to be excited about with this team. So if you're looking for something to smile about a little bit, that and fall baseball coming up, we'll have a ton of coverage of that over at Swamp 247, as well as daily football content, whatever recruiting happens as well. So make sure you follow us over there. You can follow me on social media at Graham Hall. If you have a question that I didn't get to, reach out to me on there. I'd be happy to answer it. And it's always a great time talking with you, Shane. Looking forward to doing it real soon. And I'll see you up in the box on Saturday against Kentucky.
Appreciate your time, my man. Graham Hall does a tremendous job covering the Gators. Electronics World, integration design specialist for smart home automation and entertainment. Affordable local installation service and support, electronicsworld.net. Thanks, everybody, chiming in. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Take care. Thanks, Graham.
My pleasure always, man.